Ho woke up to the sound of rain hitting his window. He looked at his phone and saw the date. Today was auction day. He had exactly $47 in his bank account, and rent was due in 5 days. He got out of bed and walked to the small kitchen of his apartment. His younger sister was already there, drinking coffee and reading something on her tablet. "Another auction?" she asked without looking up. "Maybe I will find something good today," Ho said. He poured himself some coffee. It was cheap and bitter, but it was hot. "You said that last week, and the week before." Ho shrugged. She was right. Ever since his repair yard went bankrupt 2 years ago, he had been surviving by buying junk at government auctions and selling it for small profits. It was not a good life, but it was a life. Worked as a translator for alien trade documents. The pay was not great, but she was good at languages. When humanity joined the Galactic Union 80 years ago, people who could understand alien writing became valuable. Could read 7 different alien languages. She said it was like solving puzzles. Ho finished his coffee and grabbed his jacket. "I will be back tonight." "Good luck," said. "Try not to buy any more broken engine parts." The auction was held in a large warehouse near the port. The government sold crashed alien ships and their parts here every month. Most of the buyers were big companies looking for alien technology to study. Ho was usually the smallest buyer in the room. He signed in and took his number card, number 47. He hoped it was lucky. The first few hours were boring. Big companies bought big pieces. Engine cores went for millions. Navigation computers sold for hundreds of thousands. Ho watched and waited. He could not afford any of these things. Around noon, the good stuff was gone. Now came the junk that nobody wanted. This was where Ho did his shopping. He bought a box of alien cables for $12. He bought some damaged hull plates for $20. He could probably sell these for double the price to collectors who liked alien things in their homes. Then came the last item of the day. The auctioneer looked at his papers and seemed confused. Lot number 847, one spacecraft fragment, origin unknown, age estimated at over 5,000 years. Condition is non-functional, listed as decorative piece only. 2 workers brought out the item on a large cart. It was a piece of a ship, maybe 3 meters long and 2 meters wide. The metal was black and covered in strange patterns. It looked like someone had torn it from a much larger vessel. There were holes and burn marks all over it. "Starting bid is $10, the auctioneer said. He sounded like he wanted to go home. Ho looked around. Nobody raised their hand. The big company buyers had already left. The remaining people looked at the ugly piece of metal with no interest. $10, Ho said, raising his card. $10 to number 47. Any other bids? The auctioneer waited 3 seconds. Sold to number 47. Ho smiled. He did not know what he would do with it, but the metal alone might be worth something. 5,000 years old meant it came from a very old civilization. Maybe a museum would want it. He paid his $42 for everything and arranged delivery to his storage unit. That evening, Ho stood in his storage unit looking at his purchases. The alien cables and hull plates were easy to sort, but the old spacecraft fragment was strange. The more he looked at it, the more he felt like the patterns on the metal were not random. They looked like writing, but in a language he had never seen. He decided to clean it. He got a rag and some water and started wiping away thousands of years of dust and dirt. The metal was surprisingly smooth under the grime. The patterns became clearer as he worked. They were definitely some kind of writing. Would want to see this. Then Ho made a mistake. His hand slipped on a sharp edge. The metal cut his palm and blood dripped onto the hull. "Stupid," he said to himself. He wrapped his hand with the rag and looked for bandages in his toolbox. Behind him, something hummed. Ho turned around. The spacecraft fragment was glowing. Soft blue light came from the patterns he had just cleaned. His blood, where it had touched the metal, was being absorbed into the surface. What the? He watched in shock as the holes in the metal began to close. The burn marks faded. The surface was repairing itself, using his blood as some kind of fuel. Then a voice spoke. It came from inside the metal, soft and female. The words were in a language Ho did not understand. They sounded old and musical. "I do not understand," Ho said. "Can you speak Galactic Common?" The voice paused. Then it spoke again, this time in broken Galactic Common, the trade language used across the galaxy. Scanning, language database updating. One moment. Ho did not move. His heart was beating fast. What had he bought? Scan complete, the voice said. Genetic signature confirmed. Blood sample analyzed. Lineage. What are you talking about? What is happening? Blue light formed in the air above the spacecraft fragment. It shaped itself into a woman's face. She was beautiful but not human. Her features were too perfect, too smooth. "I am the ship intelligence unit designated Bora," the face said. "I have been dormant for 5,349 years. I was waiting for one of the bloodline to find me." "Bloodline? What bloodline? I am just a junk buyer." The face called Bora looked at him with calm eyes. "You carry the genetic marker of the royal house of. The marker has passed through your ancestors for thousands of years, waiting to activate technology such as myself. I have never heard of. The Empire ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We built wonders. We created peace. Then we foresaw our end and prepared for the future. We hid our fleet. We scattered our technology. We waited for the bloodline to return." Ho felt dizzy. This could not be real. He was a broke mechanic living in a tiny apartment. He bought junk for a living. He could not be connected to some ancient alien empire. "You are making a mistake," he said. "Test my blood again." "I have tested it 3 times. There is no mistake." Bora's face showed something like a smile. "You are now registered as Supreme Commander of the Empire Fleet. Congratulations." "What fleet? You are a piece of broken metal." "I am a command beacon. When fully activated, I will summon the hidden fleet. 12,000 warships waiting in secret locations across the galaxy. All of them will answer to you." Ho sat down on an old crate. His hands were shaking. His cut palm was still bleeding through the rag. 12,000 warships. Him, the guy who could barely pay rent. "I need to call my sister," he said. And somewhere across the galaxy, in the halls of great alien empires, sensors began to detect a signal that had not been broadcast in over 5,000 years. Something ancient was waking up, and nothing would ever be the same. Did not believe him at first. She thought her brother had finally lost his mind from stress. But when she arrived at the storage unit and saw the glowing blue face hovering above the repaired metal, she stopped talking. She spent the next 3 hours trying to communicate with Bora. The AI spoke Galactic Common poorly, so tried other languages. She tried 4 other alien tongues. Nothing worked well. Then she had an idea. She asked Bora to display written text. The air filled with floating symbols. They were beautiful and complex, flowing like water, stared at them for a long time. "I have seen something like this before," she said slowly. "In my university studies, these symbols are similar to proto-writing." "What is proto?" Ho asked. "A dead language, from a civilization that disappeared over 5,000 years ago. Most scholars thought they were just legends, stories that older alien races told their children." She looked at the spacecraft fragment with new eyes. "But this is real." "Very real," Bora confirmed. "The Empire was the first great civilization of this galaxy. We brought peace to 10,000 worlds. We ended wars that had lasted for centuries. We were not legends. We were history." Sat down next to her brother. "If this is true, then everything we know about galactic history is wrong." Over the next week, worked day and night to decode Bora's archives. The AI was patient with her. It showed her language files and translation guides. Slowly began to understand. What she learned was incredible. They had not died in a war or a disaster. They had seen something in their future that frightened them. Their most powerful seers looked ahead in time and saw their extinction coming. They could not stop it, but they could prepare for what came after. So they hid their technology. They scattered their fleet across the galaxy in secret locations. They encoded everything with genetic locks that could only be opened by their own bloodline. Then they waited for the right person to find them. But why, Ho asked, why a human? Bora's face showed something like sadness. 5,300 years ago, a small exploration ship crashed on your world. The crew could not be rescued. They lived among your ancestors and had children. The bloodline survived, passing down through generations, waiting. Waiting for what? For someone worthy to activate the beacon. Someone who would find us not through power or conquest, but through chance and humble circumstances. Bora looked at Ho. The genetic lock does not just check for blood, it checks for character. They wanted their heir to be someone ordinary, someone who understood struggle, someone who would not abuse the power we left behind. Ho laughed bitterly. I am definitely ordinary. I cannot even pay my rent. That is exactly why you were chosen. Word got out faster than they expected. Ho was not sure how. Maybe someone detected the signal when Bora activated. Maybe someone at the auction talked. Either way, on the 8th day, they had visitors. A black aircraft landed outside the storage unit. Soldiers in Earth Defense Force uniforms surrounded the building. Then a tall woman in a military coat walked toward them. Ho, she said, I am Fleet Admiral Min, we need to talk. Behind her, a second aircraft landed. This one was different. Alien design. The door opened and a tall gray-skinned being stepped out. He wore the formal robes of a Galactic Union diplomat. I am ambassador of the people, the alien said. I represent the Galactic Union in this matter. We have detected an unauthorized signal from this location. We must investigate. Admiral stepped between and Ho. This is Earth territory. Whatever is here belongs to us. The artifacts belong to no single world, said. His voice was calm but firm. They are shared galactic heritage. The Union demands access. The Union can make requests, not demands, not on our soil. The two leaders stared at each other. Ho felt very small between them. A week ago, his biggest problem was rent money. Now admirals and ambassadors were fighting over him. Maybe we should all calm down, he said. Nobody listened to him. Admiral turned to Ho. Show me what you have. Ho led them inside. Bora's holographic face appeared when they entered. Admiral's eyes went wide. Ambassador made a sound that might have been surprise. A functioning intelligence unit, whispered. Impossible, they were all destroyed. I was not destroyed, Bora said. I was waiting. Waiting for what? For him, Bora looked at Ho. He is the heir. Laughed, it was not a kind laugh. A human, an heir to that is absurd. Humans have been in space for less than a century. They are children compared to the elder races. The bloodline does not care about politics, Bora said. It cares about genetics. His blood activated me. His blood will activate the fleet. What fleet? Admiral asked. Ho looked at, she nodded. There was no point in hiding it now. Show them, he told Bora. The storage unit filled with light. A holographic star map appeared, showing the entire galaxy. Thousands of points glowed red across the spiral arms. Each point had a number next to it. 12,417 warships, Bora said. Hidden in nebulae inside asteroid fields buried under moons, all of them dormant, all of them waiting for the command. The room was silent. Admiral was the first to speak. 12,000 ships. Warships, Bora confirmed. Each one more powerful than anything that exists today. The youngest of them is 5,000 years old. The oldest is 15,000 years old. They were built to last. His gray face had become pale. This cannot be allowed. One human cannot control such power. The Galactic Union must take custody of. The ships are genetically locked, Bora interrupted. Only someone of the bloodline can command them. If you try to take them by force, they will self-destruct, all of them, at once. 12,000 ships exploding at once would destroy half the galaxy, said quietly. She had done the math. Stop talking. Admiral looked at Ho with new respect. So what do you want to do? Ho had no idea. He was a junk dealer. He fixed broken engines and sold scrap metal. He did not know how to handle admirals and ambassadors and ancient alien fleets. But before he could answer, Bora's face changed. She looked worried. We have a problem, she said. What kind of problem? The activation signal I sent when you first touched me. It was detected across the galaxy. I am reading multiple hyperspace signatures heading toward Earth. How many? Admiral asked. 5 major fleets. Hegemony, Consortium, 3 others. They will arrive within 72 hours. Ho felt his blood go cold. Why are they coming? Because, said slowly, everyone wants the fleet, and they will do anything to get it. Outside, the sky was dark with coming night, but across the galaxy, ships were turning toward Earth. The race had begun, and Ho, the man who bought a wreck for $10, was now the most important person in the universe. He really should have stayed in bed that morning. 3 weeks changed everything. Earth had never been important in galactic politics. Humanity was young, weak, and poor compared to the elder races. Most aliens saw humans as clever children who had just learned to walk among the stars. Interesting, perhaps, but not significant. Now 5 alien fleets surrounded the planet. Ho watched them on the screens of the Earth Defense Force Command Center. Admiral had moved him here for protection. Came with him, along with Bora, who had been carefully transported from the storage unit. The largest fleet belongs to the Hegemony, Admiral said, pointing at the tactical display. 400 warships. Their leader is High Sovereign. He is not known for patience. What does he want? Ho asked. Everything. They believe the strong should rule the weak. If they get the fleet, they will conquer the entire galaxy within a year. Another officer pointed at a second group of ships. The consortium sent 200 vessels. Trade Archon leads them. She is offering to buy the fleet. Buy it with what? She says name your price, any amount. Credits, planets, star systems, whatever you want. Ho laughed. It was not a happy laugh. I could not even buy a cup of good coffee last month. Now someone wants to trade me star systems. It is not funny, Admiral said. They look friendly, but they are not. If they control the fleet, they will use it to dominate all trade in the galaxy. They will own everything. The other 3 fleets were smaller but still dangerous. Each one represented a faction that wanted power. Each one was willing to fight for it. And in the middle of all this was Ho, a broke mechanic who just wanted a normal life. A new person arrived at the command center. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. Admiral introduced him as Dr. Wu, the leading human expert on alien archaeology. I have been studying the data from your AI, Doctor said to Ho. The historical records are incredible. Everything we thought we knew about them was wrong. What did you find? Doctor pulled up a holographic display. It showed a star map of Earth and the surrounding region. 5,300 years ago, a ship visited your planet. We knew about ancient alien visits, but we never knew which species. Now we do. Bora told us this already, said. But she did not tell you why it matters. Doctor zoomed in on the Korean peninsula. The crew that crashed here did not just survive. They joined human society. They married humans. They had children. So Ho is part alien. Only a tiny part. After 5,000 years, the genes are almost invisible, but the genetic marker that controls their technology is still there, passed down through generations. Doctor looked at Ho with fascination. You are living proof that the plan for the future. They knew their bloodline would survive on Earth. They wanted it too. Why? Ho asked. Why would they choose humans? I do not know yet, but I think they saw something special in your species, something worth protecting. The conversation was interrupted by an alarm. High Sovereign was demanding to speak with Earth leaders. They patched the communication through to the command center, appeared on the main screen. He was massive, with dark red skin and 4 arms. His eyes were golden and cold. I am tired of waiting, said. His voice was deep like thunder. Earth has something that belongs to the galaxy. Hand over the beacon and the human who activated it. He is a citizen of Earth, Admiral replied. We do not hand over our own people. Then you are choosing war. We are choosing to protect our rights. The beacon was legally purchased. The fleet responds only to his blood. Even if you took both, you could not use them. Smiled, it was not a friendly expression. Perhaps not, but I could destroy them. If I cannot have the fleet, then no one will. If you destroy the beacon, the ships will self-destruct. Half the galaxy would be destroyed. A sacrifice I am willing to make. The screen went dark, had ended the communication. Admiral turned to Ho. He is not bluffing. They would rather see the galaxy burn than let another species have power. So what do we do? Before the Admiral could answer, Bora spoke up. Her holographic face appeared next to the tactical display. There is something you should know, she said. Something I have not shared yet. More secrets? Asked annoyed. Not a secret, a truth I was waiting to reveal at the right time. Bora's expression was serious. They did not just leave ships and technology, they left a political framework, a system of government. What kind of system? The Council of Founders, the original governing body of the galaxy, established 20,000 years ago. The current Galactic Union replaced it after they disappeared, but the old charter was never officially dissolved. Doctor stepped forward. I have heard of this. Ancient texts mention a council that existed before the Union, but everyone thought it was a myth. It is not a myth, Bora said. And according to the charter, whoever commands the fleet automatically inherits their seat on the council. That seat carries special powers. What kind of powers? Ho asked. The power to reform the Union, the power to remove corrupt leaders, the power to establish new laws that all species must follow. Bora looked at Ho. You do not just control a fleet, you control the legal foundation of galactic civilization. The room was silent. Ho felt the weight of those words pressing down on him. It was too much. He was nobody. He could not handle this responsibility. I did not ask for this, he said quietly. No, Bora agreed. They chose someone who would not ask for it. That is exactly the point. Outside, the alien fleets waited, was preparing his ultimatum. The other factions were scheming and planning. Everyone wanted to control Ho or destroy him. But deep inside, something was changing. Ho looked at his sister, at Admiral, at Doctor. They were counting on him. Earth was counting on him. Maybe being nobody was exactly what the galaxy needed right now. What happens if I do nothing? He asked. If I just give up the beacon and walk away? Takes the fleet or destroys it, Admiral said. Either way, Earth falls. Humanity becomes slaves or worse. And if I fight? Then we have a chance, small but real. Ho closed his eyes. He thought about his life, the small apartment, the failed business, the years of struggle. He had never had power, he had never wanted it. But he had always tried to do the right thing. Bora, he said, opening his eyes, tell me how to wake up the full fleet. You must go to Prime. The throne of stars awaits there. Only from that throne can you command all 12,000 ships. Then that is where we are going. Admiral shook her head. The alien fleets will never let you leave Earth. Then we will have to be clever. Ho smiled for the first time in weeks. I am just a junk dealer, Admiral. Clever is all I have. Behind him started planning. Doctor began researching. And Bora, the ancient AI who had waited 5,000 years for this moment, finally allowed herself to hope. The galaxy was about to change, and it would start with one ordinary human who refused to give up. The plan was simple, because they had no time for complicated. Captain No One was the best pilot in the Earth Defense Force. She was young, only 32, but she had more combat experience than officers twice her age. She flew a small courier ship that was fast and hard to detect. I can get you through their fleets, she said, studying the tactical map. But we need a distraction, something big. Admiral nodded. Leave that to me. When you launch, every Earth ship will move at once. We will make so much noise that they will not notice one small vessel slipping away. That is suicide, said. Your ships are not strong enough to fight those fleets. We do not need to win. We just need to keep them busy for 20 minutes. That should be enough time for you to jump to hyperspace. Ho looked at the Admiral. She knew what she was ordering. She was sending Earth's entire fleet into a battle they could not win. Many would die. Why, he asked, why would you risk so much for me? Admiral met his eyes. I have been a soldier for 40 years. I have watched humanity crawl and beg for scraps at the galactic table. I have seen our people treated like animals by species who think we are nothing. She smiled grimly. If there is a chance that a human can change things, even a small chance, then it is worth any price. They launched at midnight. Captain No's ship, the Starling, rose silently from the ground while the alien fleets were looking the other way. At the same moment, 400 Earthships powered up their engines and moved toward the blockade. All ships engage, Admiral commanded over the radio. The space around Earth exploded with light. Missiles flew. Energy beams crossed the darkness. Earth's fleet was outnumbered 10-1, but they fought with everything they had. The Starling slipped through the chaos. Ho sat in the passenger compartment with Bora's portable unit. Through the small window he could see the battle. Earth's ships were dying. He could see them breaking apart, their crews lost forever. Do not look away, said quietly. They are doing this for us, remember them. He watched. He burned every image into his memory. These people were dying so he could reach a throne he never asked for. He would not waste their sacrifice. Captain No flew like a ghost. She dodged patrol ships, slipped through sensor gaps, and found paths that should not have existed. 23 minutes after launch, they reached the edge of the battle zone. Jumping to hyperspace in 10 seconds, she announced. Everyone hold on. The stars stretched into lines. Reality twisted. And then they were gone, racing across the galaxy at impossible speed. Behind them, the battle continued. But on the Starling, there was only silence and the hum of engines carrying them toward an ancient dead world. Prime appeared after 6 days of travel. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Once, this world had been the heart of a great empire. Now it was empty. The oceans had dried up. The atmosphere was thin and cold, but the cities remained. Thousands of towers and temples and palaces preserved perfectly after 5,000 years. Nobody has been herein, Captain No said as they descended. The coordinates are restricted. Other species are afraid of this place. Afraid of what? Ho asked. Of whatever killed of whatever might still be waiting. Bora guided them to a massive temple in the center of the largest city. It was the size of a mountain, made of the same black metal as her original hull. Patterns covered every surface, glowing faintly in the dim light. They landed in a courtyard that could hold 1,000 ships. Ho stepped out and felt the cold air on his skin. The portable breathing mask Admiral had given him kept the thin atmosphere from killing him. The throne of stars is inside, Bora said, her voice coming from the unit carried. "Follow the main corridor. I will guide you." They walked into the temple. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. Strange lights activated as they passed, responding to Ho's presence. The building knew he was coming. "This place is incredible," whispered. "The architecture alone would take centuries to study." "After today, you can study all you want," Ho said, "if we survive." The main corridor was a kilometer long. At the end stood a door that reached from floor to ceiling, 30 meters high. Symbols covered it. The same writing had spent weeks learning to read. "What does it say?" Ho asked. "Study the text. It says, 'Here sits the one who carries our hope. Here ends the long waiting. Here begins the new age.'" The door opened without being touched. Inside was a circular chamber larger than any building on Earth. In the center stood the throne of stars. It was made of light and metal and something that might have been crystal. It floated above the floor, surrounded by holographic displays that showed the entire galaxy. "Sit," Bora said, "and claim your inheritance." Ho walked forward. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. He was about to do something that no human had ever done. He was about to wake up an empire. He climbed the steps and sat on the throne. The universe responded. Light exploded through the chamber. The holographic displays came fully alive. Ho felt something connect to his mind, like a door opening in his head. He could suddenly sense things that were impossible to sense. "The fleet is waking," Bora said, her voice filled with emotion. 5,000 years of sleep is ending. Across the galaxy, in thousands of hidden locations, ancient warships powered up their engines for the first time in. Crews of artificial intelligence units came online. Weapons charged. Shields activated. One by one, they reported their status to the Throne of Stars. Ship 1 of 12,417, ready. Ship 2 of 12,417, ready. Ship 3 of 12,417, ready. The numbers climbed and climbed. "Incoming hyperspace signatures," Captain No shouted from outside. "Multiple contacts, the fleet followed us." Ho looked at the display. High Sovereign had brought his entire force. 400 warships were dropping out of hyperspace above Prime. They had tracked the Starling somehow. "Begin orbital bombardment," his voice echoed through the communication systems. "Destroy the temple, kill the human." Energy beams rained from the sky. The temple shook. Ancient stone cracked and fell. But the fleet was still waking. "How long?" Ho asked. 3 minutes until the first ships arrive," Bora answered. "The nearest ones were hidden in this system." "We do not have 3 minutes." Another bombardment hit the temple. A section of the ceiling collapsed, screamed as debris fell around her. Captain No pulled her to safety. "Shields," Ho thought desperately. "Does this throne have shields?" The throne responded. A dome of energy formed around the chamber, absorbing the next attack. But Ho could feel it draining power. It would not last forever. 2 minutes. Ships increased their fire. The shield flickered. Cracks appeared in the energy dome. 1 minute. "Hold on," Bora shouted. "They are almost here." 30 seconds. The shield failed. Energy beams punched through the ceiling, aiming directly at the throne. And then the first warship arrived. It appeared from nowhere, dropping out of hyperspace directly between the fleet and the planet. It was 5 kilometers long, black and terrible and beautiful. Its weapons came online and it fired once. One shot destroyed 30 ships. More ships arrived. Dozens, hundreds, they kept coming, filling the space above Prime like a wall of ancient vengeance. The fleet tried to fight. They tried to run. They could do neither. In 10 minutes it was over. Its flagship hung alone in space, surrounded by thousands of warships. Every other vessel had been disabled or destroyed. "Do you want me to destroy him?" Bora asked. "Say the word and I will end the hegemony today." Ho sat on the throne of stars, feeling the power of 12,000 ships flowing through his mind. He could do it. He could crush. He could conquer the galaxy right now. But that was not who he was. "No," he said, "open communications, let me talk to him." And as the ancient fleet waited in silence, a junk dealer from Earth prepared to speak with the most feared ruler in the galaxy. Something was about to change forever. High Sovereign appeared on the throne's display. His 4 arms were crossed over his chest. His golden eyes burned with hatred, but behind the hatred Ho saw something else: fear. So said, "The human sits on an ancient throne and thinks he is powerful. You are nothing. You are a child playing with weapons you do not understand." "Maybe," Ho replied, "but I am the child with 12,000 warships pointing at your face." Snarled, "Then destroy me. That is what the strong do. They crush the weak. They take what they want. Show the galaxy that humans are no different from the rest of us." It was a test. Ho understood that now, expected him to act like every other ruler throughout history, to use power for revenge and conquest, to become another tyrant. "No," Ho said simply. "No," laughed bitterly. "You have the power to end my empire today. Why would you refuse?" "Because I did not wake up this fleet to destroy. I woke it up to change things." Ho leaned forward on the throne. "You came to Earth ready to kill billions of innocent people. You threatened to burn half the galaxy just to stop me. I should hate you. But you do not. I do not have time for hate. There is too much work to do." Ho stood up from the throne. The connection to the fleet remained. He could feel all 12,000 ships waiting for his command. "Bora, broadcast this message to every communication system in the galaxy." "Broadcasting now." Ho took a deep breath. Somewhere out there, trillions of beings on millions of worlds were about to hear him speak. The thought terrified him, but fear had never stopped him before. "My name is Ho. 3 weeks ago I was nobody. I bought junk at auctions and struggled to pay my rent. I did not ask for power, I did not want it." He paused. "But power does not care what we want. It comes anyway, and then we have to decide what to do with it." He looked at the holographic display showing the galaxy. So many stars, so many worlds, so many people with hopes and fears and dreams. The Empire left behind a fleet. They also left behind a legal charter called the Council of Founders. According to that charter, whoever commands the fleet has the authority to reform the Galactic Union. He let that sink in. "I am claiming that authority now." Across the galaxy, governments scrambled. Military leaders shouted orders. Diplomats demanded explanations. But nobody could stop a signal that was already everywhere. The current union is broken. Elder species treat younger ones like servants. The strong abuse the weak. Wars happen because there is no fair system to prevent them. Ho shook his head. "I am not going to conquer the galaxy. I am going to fix it." "You cannot simply change how things work," interrupted. "Power has rules, the strong rule, the weak obey. That is the nature of the universe." Maybe that was the nature of the universe before, but they chose me for a reason. They did not want a conqueror. They wanted someone who understood what it means to be small and weak, someone who would build something better. Ho turned to face directly. "I am dissolving the current power structure of the Union. Every species, old or young, will have equal representation on a new council. No more special privileges for elder races. No more crushing smaller civilizations because they cannot fight back." "The hegemony will never accept this," growled. "You do not have to accept it, you just have to live with it." Ho gestured at the fleet surrounding them. "I am not asking, I am telling. Fight me if you want, but I think you know how that will end." For a long moment said nothing. His eyes moved across the tactical displays, counting the ships. Each one was older and more powerful than his entire fleet combined. The math was simple. He could not win. "And if we cooperate," asked finally, "what do they get?" "The same thing everyone gets. A fair seat at the table, a voice in galactic decisions, protection from those who would harm you. Ho smiled slightly. Also, I will not destroy your fleet. I think that is worth something. The silence stretched for an eternity. Then did something nobody expected. He laughed. You are either the bravest being I have ever met or he said, perhaps both. He uncrossed his arms and straightened his posture. Very well, human. The hegemony will join your new council, but not because we fear you. Then why? Because I want to see if you actually mean what you say. Nobody has ever offered the hegemony fairness before. It has always been conquer or be conquered. His golden eyes softened slightly. If you can truly create something different, then maybe the galaxy is not as hopeless as I believed. One by one, the other factions sent their responses. Trade Archon agreed to join, though she negotiated trade benefits first. The smaller powers accepted quickly, grateful for protection they had never had. Within 3 days, the new Council of Founders was officially formed. Ho became first chairman, though he insisted on being called by his name instead of a title. 6 months later, things were different. The new council met on a space station that the fleet had constructed in neutral territory. Representatives from every species gathered there to debate and decide the future together. There were arguments and disagreements, but there was also progress. Humanity had a seat at the table now. Not because they were powerful, but because one human had been given power and used it wisely. Became chief diplomatic advisor. She spent her days translating between species and finding common ground where none seemed to exist. Captain No took command of the new Union Defense Fleet, a combined force of ships and vessels from willing member species. Admiral retired from military service and wrote a book about the battle for Earth. It became the most popular text in 3 sectors. And Ho returned to Earth for one day, 6 months after the awakening. He walked through the streets past the old warehouse where he used to attend auctions. He visited his storage unit, which had been turned into a museum. Tourists came from across the galaxy to see where it all started. Found him standing in the empty space where the beacon had once sat. Missing your old life? She asked. A little, he admitted. Things were simpler then. All I had to worry about was rent money and finding good scrap. Do you regret it? Ho thought about the question carefully. He thought about the soldiers who died to get him off Earth. He thought about the responsibility that weighed on him every day. He thought about the enemies who still schemed against him and the problems that never seemed to end. No, he said finally, I do not regret it. The galaxy needed someone to change things. I still do not understand why it had to be me, but I am glad I could help. Smiled and put her hand on his shoulder. They were right about you. They knew what kind of person you would be before you were even born. They trusted you with their legacy. I hope I am worthy of that trust. You are. You proved it when you had the power to destroy and chose to build instead. They stood together in the empty storage unit, the place where everything had begun. Outside, the sun was setting over. Somewhere above them, 12,000 ancient ships orbited peacefully, their weapons silent, their purpose changed from war to protection. We should get back, Ho said. There is a council meeting tomorrow, something about trade routes in the outer sectors. Laughed, same stress, different scale. That is what I always say. They walked out together, leaving the museum behind. A tour group was waiting outside, aliens and humans mixed together, all eager to see where the new age had started. Ho nodded to them as he passed. Just a man in simple clothes, walking with his sister, going back to work. But the galaxy knew the truth. A human ruled not through fear or conquest, but through the simple belief that things could be better. And slowly, day by day, they were becoming better. They had waited 5,000 years for this moment. They had chosen well.